Welcome to the Harper Tech Academy and Harper Recipe Creations. Today we're doing the classic steak sandwich, or here in Australia we call it a steak sanger. This is the deluxe version. We're going to have a beautiful onion jam, really quick onion jam actually too. Tomatoes, a little bit of English mustard, some beautiful bread, toasted and minute steaks. How could you go past it? So let's get into it. So basically with our ingredients here, we have in the recipe it says baguette, but you can really use anything. I've got these beautiful stone baked bread here. All right, we've got onions ready to go for the onion jam, tomatoes, a bit of English mustard. If you don't like that hot English mustard, you could use a smooth Dijon mustard. It really doesn't matter, and you can make this your own. So the first part of this is we are going to start to make our onion jam. Now I've peeled these onions, and literally I'm going to cut them in half. And we're actually going to cut them this way so that we keep it nice and fine. And literally just running through, making sure that you have your claw there so that, and not fingers straight out. So chop the first one. And actually, just time. So you're going to start the stove. Just get that heating up right away. Oil, add a wooden spoon. And what we're going to do is we're going to saute our onions. So onions have a lot of sugar in them, and a lot of people are don't really realise that. So we want to cook them without colour. So just have a listen when they go in. You'll hear that light sizzle, and that light sizzle is what you need. Okay, if it's a really uncontrollable, you're burning them straight away. So what I'm doing here, and I'm not going to go for the close-up here so you can go from there, is just starting to saute them, break them down a little bit. Now in the recipe this is just sauteed. What I'm going to add to it, I found this beautiful apple vinegar. We're going to put a little bit of apple vinegar and a little bit of sugar into it also. So we're just going to let that fry away until it's translucent. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Just make sure you remind me, okay? Now I'm going to swap out my boards. Next, I've got my oven preheated to 180. I'm going to actually cut the bread. Alright, so just a serrated edged knife, cut it down the middle, and I'm actually going to bake it in the oven. Now if you, let's say you don't have an oven or you don't want to turn your oven on, you can actually also do this in a toaster, but my stone grill Turkish bread here is actually quite long, doesn't fit in the toaster very well. So we'll just get a tray, lay that. You can hear that wonderfulness happening with the onions. Keep stirring them, don't leave them on the base. You want that to actually cook out and not burn. Alright, now I would have liked to have done this on the barbecue, but it's absolutely pouring outside at the moment, so that goes straight into the oven. Then we start getting into our next bits and pieces of mise en place. So we've got some beautiful fresh fine tomatoes. We're actually going to take the eye of that tomato out and slice that ready for the sandwich. So it's all about multitasking, keeping that onion jam going and at the same time getting everything else ready. Alright, so we're just going to cut straight down. The key to a good sandwich is actually making sure that every piece of that tomato is cut beautifully. So no chunky for a punky. You want to keep every piece straight in like that. So that's ready to go. So I'm starting to see a change in colour here, and that's what we want. I'll show you the camera. So you'll see there, no colour, straight back on. Now we add the beautiful ingredients. So I'm going to sort of acidulate, add some acid, put a little bit of sugar. So just a quick sprinkle of sugar in there, and a pretty good dose of this apple vinegar, apple cider vinegar. And if you didn't have apple cider vinegar, you can actually use, balsamic vinegar or red wine vinegar. But please don't use the straight white vinegar. It's like rocket fuel. Now, I've just got some minute steaks here. You can use a whole range of different things. All right, it could be, you want prime cuts of meat, so a sirloin or a rib fillet or rump. You could use a big chunky steak, but I'm using this fine steak. So I guess the question is, why do they call it minute steak? Anyone know? Of course you do. Basically, when you're looking at a minute steak, it takes about a minute to cook. And I'm going to talk to you about how we cook steak, all right, in a minute. So my onions are starting to soften. Beautiful. Just have a look here. So you'll see how they're starting to soften. The smells coming out of this kitchen are incredible at the moment. Okay, so to marinate, I'm just going to add a little bit of oil. And I'm going to put my steaks in there. And these are not going to take very long to cook at all. So at this point, I'm going to get my pan going. Just keep your onions going, make sure that they do not burn. So we're actually going to heat up the pan. All right, so let's talk steak. All right. Now these are very thin, so really the best we could do is probably cook them to about medium. That's about as far as we could really go with this. So if you've got a thicker steak, let's talk about it. So do you like them rare, medium, medium well? Now I've got really nice little garlic salt here. I'm just going to put a little bit of the garlic salt in there. And then just a good old grind of the old pepper. And we're going to season that up. And a bit of sea salt. And if you've watched any of the other videos, you know I love a bit of sea salt. So with steak, when we're cooking, we want to seal both sides. But you don't want to be cutting into your steak to see where it's at. So I'm going to show you a little tip. So with this, I'm holding my finger and my thumb together. And hold it relaxed. Now I'm going to feel there, guys, our meat cooks, the protein strands get tighter and tighter, and this is why a well done steak is like an old boot. So hold that relaxed, press that rare, tense it slightly, medium rare, then change your thumb and your finger over, medium, medium well, well done. All right, just a little chef trick there. And next time you're cooking, you're then going to try that, watch your guest eat it and go, oh, I didn't quite get it that time, but I will next time. All right, that onion is ready to go. Let me just show you what that looks like. Very soft, bit of flavour in there. That's ready to go. Now, we want to keep our pan at a medium to high heat so that we're actually sealing. When you're holding a pan, It's just a cloth, and then we hold like that. So at this point, I'm going to put a little bit of oil in here, and we're just going to seal this steak off and cook it. A lot of people put too much oil and it spits everywhere, so we don't want that to happen. All right, so just listen. You hear that actually sealing really beautifully. We want to get that flavour that you get from cooking steak this way. And on the barbecue, you could actually use the griddle, and that'll bring even more. Alright, so that's on. At this point, we're actually going to take our bread out. Just have a look at that. That's toasted nicely, not too hard. Put that over there. If you've got a laminate bench, don't put your hot tray straight down on there. So what we're doing is a minute, let's turn that around. And what you're after is this caramelisation. You see there, you've got that caramelisation. A lot of people will pull it straight off and cut into it. You actually need to let it rest for a minute. So we're going to get out a few plates. One for presentation, and one to put our steak back in. So has it been a minute? Has anyone been timing me? Literally take it out of the pan. It's that fast. Incredible. You'll see the juices there. We're just going to leave that for a minute. So I've cooked it to about medium. So we're actually going to bring a new board in. And set up. Now you'll notice I swapped over from one board to the other because we had raw meat. It's really important that we do not cross-contaminate. Okay, so I've got my butter. It is a sandwich, so we're going to put a little bit of butter on the base. Just like that. Hear that? So tasty. Alright, and I'm going to get my tops. A little bit of butter. Excellent. Okay, now I'm going to add something to the recipe. I've got some beautiful lettuce here, so I'm going to take a few leaves off, give them a quick wash, and actually throw that onto our steak sandwich too to add to the flavour. So we'll just wash here and then tamp that dry. You hungry yet? I wish we had smell-o-vision with video because it makes such a difference. It's smelling amazing here. Get rid of the recipe there for a minute. So I'm going to put my lettuce on first. Just line that up. All right. As much as anything, this is for flavour, but it also really makes the presentation really beautiful. And when we're presenting sandwiches, presentation is a really important aspect of that. You can make them look really professional and really beautiful, and it's not that hard. Now, tomatoes are next. So we'll just line them up. These are beautiful vine-ripened tomatoes, are really ripe. It's just having really beautiful produce is going to make such a difference to your overall dishes. So always go for that fresh. We actually get our veg through a local co-op, which makes a huge difference. Now, we're actually going to use a little bit of our hot English mustard. As mentioned before, if you don't like hot English mustard, no problem. You just use a Dijon mustard, but this adds a nice little sharpness to our dish, which is what we're after. So we're actually going to put a little bit of hot English mustard on the top. Alright, we obviously don't want to go too much, because anyone who knows, I remember the first time that I had hot English mustard, had a big wad of it, and actually snorted it out of my nose. And it's not a fun experience, alright, especially if you're younger. Okay, so we've got our onion here. So our steak is a medium. I'm just going to line that up. Look at that. Lovely. Alright, I am definitely getting hungry here. 3 pieces there. And then we're going to take a little bit of our onion. And put some onion on there with that apple cider vinegar. And the great thing about this dish is you don't actually need to add any other garnish, because you've garnished it up yourself. Right? Absolute magic. And the last little ingredient, some people would say absolute sacrilege putting tomato sauce on the top, but it is an Aussie singer. Alright, a little line of our tomato sauce. You might want to put like a tomato chutney or something like that, but I'm just going to go that. We're going to put these on top. Oh man, look at that. Alright, then we go for presentation. As mentioned before, we actually don't need to, I'm just going to cut them in half. We've got the family here, absolutely eagerly waiting to eat these, because they smell amazing. I'm going to cut these, and literally just place them on the plate. This plate's probably a little small. Okay. Alright. So the way you present can be very, very creative. So I'll just show you down here, the classic deluxe steak sandwich. Look at that, beautiful and slightly medium in there. If you're enjoying these videos, please consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to see more videos from the Harper Tech Academy, make sure you subscribe on the video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.